Think about the quietest moment in your house. Usually it happens sometime after midnight. The lights are off, the street outside is empty, and the only sound in the entire home is the soft electrical hum coming from the kitchen. Most people assume it's just the refrigerator, the cooling system cycled on and off. But modern kitchens aren't what they used to be. Today's refrigerators are connected to the internet. They have cameras, touchscreen computers, voice assistants. Some of them even track the food you eat and send data to remote servers. Manufacturers call it convenience, but cybersecurity researchers call it something else. A data stream. A data stream, because every time you open the fridge door, every time you grab a late-night snack, every time you walk through your kitchen, that information can be recorded. And sometimes, people discover that those devices are doing far more than anyone expected. Tonight, we're re-uncovering 3. Most people don't spend much time thinking about their refrigerator. It's just, they're sitting quietly in the kitchen, keeping food cold, maybe humming softly in the background. But in 2023, a software engineer named Daniel Mercer started noticing something about his refrigerator that didn't feel quite right. Daniel lived alone in a small suburban home just outside Seattle, Washington. Like a lot of people who work in technology, he loved experimenting with new gadgets. His house was filled with smart devices. Smart lights, smart speakers, a smart thermostat, and recently, he had installed one of the newest smart refrigerators on the market. The appliance looked impressive. A massive stainless steel unit with a glossy touchscreen built into the door. It had Wi-Fi connectivity, internal cameras, and voice control. It could recommend recipes based on what food was inside. It could even show you the contents of your fridge from your phone while you were at the grocery store. Daniel thought it was fascinating. For the first few weeks, everything worked perfectly. The internal cameras took pictures of the shelves every time the door closed. The mobile app updated automatically, and the touchscreen displayed helpful reminders about food that was about to expire. But then something strange started happening. At first, it was subtle. Daniel would sometimes notice the refrigerator screen glowing in the middle of the night when he walked past the kitchen. Not bright, just faint, like the device had recently been activated. He assumed it was a normal system update. After all, smart devices often run background processes. But one evening, something happened that made him pause. Daniel was sitting in his living room around 11:47 p.m., working on his laptop. The house was completely quiet. Then his phone buzzed. A notification appeared from the refrigerator app. It said, "Interior camera access." That seemed odd. The camera normally activated only when the door closed. Daniel hadn't opened the fridge for hours. Curious, he opened the app. The screen displayed a live view from inside the refrigerator. Milk carton, eggs, leftover pasta in a glass container. Everything looked normal. But the notification came again. And then again. Within the next 10 minutes, the camera activated 4 more times. Daniel frowned. That wasn't normal behavior. Being a software engineer, he knew how to check system logs. So he opened the diagnostic panel inside the fridge's settings menu. What he saw immediately made him uncomfortable. The camera wasn't activating from the refrigerator itself. It was being accessed remotely from an external IP address. At first, Daniel thought it might be the manufacturer's cloud service. But when he checked the connection details, the IP address traced back to a server located overseas. Someone had connected to his refrigerator. The thought sounded. The connection attempts were strange, almost like they were waiting for something. Late that night, Daniel decided to test a theory. He kept the smart refrigerator connected to the internet. Then he went to bed. But just before turning off the lights in the kitchen, he placed a small laptop on the counter, positioning it so the screen was visible from his bedroom doorway. The laptop was set to display the refrigerator's live network activity, a stream of data packets flowing back and forth. He left his bedroom door cracked open, just enough to see the glow of the laptop screen from his bed. Sleep didn't come as his mind raced with possibilities. Was it a simple software bug, or was something more intentional happening? Just after 2:13 a.m., it began. The laptop screen flared with activity as a flood of connection attempts hit the refrigerator's IP address. Daniel quietly slipped out of bed and crept to his doorway, peering into the dark kitchen. Suddenly, The massive screen on the fridge flickered on, casting an eerie blue light across the room. The internal camera, the one meant to show you what's inside without opening the door, activated. For a brief moment, the screen displayed a familiar view of milk cartons and vegetable drawers. But then, the camera feed switched. The perspective changed entirely. Now, the screen showed a view pointing out from the fridge toward the kitchen. Dogworth, Ime. A cold chill ran down Daniel's spine, making the hairs on his arms stand up. The refrigerator door was closed. The camera was inside a sealed box. It should have been physically impossible for it to see the room. And yet, there it was. The live feed was broadcasting a view of his own kitchen from an impossible angle. The laptop managed to record several seconds of this bizarre footage before the connection abruptly dropped and the refrigerator screen went dark, plunging the kitchen back into silence. Shaken, Daniel hurried to the laptop and reviewed the captured data. What he saw filled him with a profound sense of unease. The camera had recorded the kitchen in grainy, low-light detail. He could make out the counter, the sink, and most chillingly, the hallway leading directly to the bedrooms. If someone had been watching that feed remotely, they would have seen the complete layout of his home's first floor. They would know exactly where his family slept. The next morning, Daniel was on the phone with the refrigerator manufacturer's customer support. Think about the quiet hum coming from your kitchen right now. That soft electrical buzz, most people assume it's just the cooling cycle of the refrigerator. A compressor turning on, cold air circulating through the shelves. But modern refrigerators do far more than regulate temperature. Inside many smart fridges today are small computers. They track when the door opens. They record temperature changes. They scan the food you place inside. And every time something happens, that information is logged. Then quietly transmitted to cloud servers, usually somewhere far away. Most people never think about that until someone notices something that shouldn't be possible. That's what happened to the Carter family in Raleigh, North Carolina. The Carters were early adopters of smart home technology. Their house had automated lighting, security cameras, voice assistants in nearly every room. So when they renovated their kitchen, installing a smart refrigerator seemed like the obvious choice. The appliance looked impressive. A sleek, stainless steel unit with a large touchscreen built into the door. Inside the fridge were several tiny cameras designed to scan groceries and track inventory. The system could recognize foods automatically. Milk, vegetables, egg cartons, even packaged meals. Whenever something started running low, the fridge would add it to a digital grocery list. It sounded convenient. And at first, it was. The Carters rarely ran out of food anymore. The refrigerator would send helpful reminders. Sometimes, it even suggested recipes based on what was already inside. But after a few months, something strange started happening. The refrigerator began displaying product recommendations on its touchscreen. At first, it seemed normal. New cereal brands, different yogurt flavors, but the suggestions started getting oddly specific. One evening, the fridge displayed an ad for a particular brand of herbal sleep tea. The strange part was that Mrs. Carter had recently started drinking tea before bed, but she had never searched for it online. She had never added it to a grocery list. She had simply started brewing it every night. The refrigerator had noticed. At first, she laughed about it. Maybe the fridge is psychic, she joked. But then the suggestions became. At first, the Carters weren't too concerned. After all, plenty of devices collect anonymous data. But a few weeks later, something happened that changed the way they looked at the refrigerator entirely. One evening, Mr. Carter was watching television when a notification appeared on his phone. It came from the home security app. The message said, "Unusual network activity detected." At first, he assumed it was nothing. But when he opened the network monitor, one device stood out. The refrigerator. The appliance was transmitting data at an unusually high rate, almost constantly. Mr. Carter called a friend who worked in cybersecurity. The friend agreed to take a look. Within an hour, he discovered something unsettling. The refrigerator wasn't just sending basic system diagnostics, it was uploading detailed usage data. Door open times, consumption patterns, internal camera images. Every action inside that kitchen was being recorded. and sent to a server located thousands of miles away. But the most disturbing discovery came when the friend analyzed the data structure, because when all those data points were combined, they revealed something incredibly detailed. A map of the Carter family's daily life. The logs showed exactly when the refrigerator door opened each morning, around 6:42 a.m. The time Mrs. Carter made breakfast. It showed the evening meal preparation around 6:15 p.m., the late-night snack around 11:30 p.m. It even revealed something else. Every weekday afternoon around 3:40 p.m., the refrigerator door opened briefly. That was when their teenage son came home from school. The refrigerator knew their schedule, not just vaguely, but precisely. Anyone with access to that data could determine exactly when people were home. And when the house was empty, the friend helped the Carters disconnect the refrigerator from the internet. After that, the data transmissions stopped. The fridge still worked normally. It kept food cold. It just stopped sending information about their lives to remote servers. Months later, Mr. Carter was still thinking about the experience. One evening, he opened the refrigerator to grab a drink. The interior light illuminated the shelves. For a moment, he noticed the tiny camera lenses mounted near the top, small black circles, barely noticeable unless you were looking for them. Before the incident, he had thought they were convenient. Now, they felt different, because he realized something unsettling. For months, that appliance had quietly watched everything that happened in the kitchen. Every meal, every conversation, every late-night snack, and somewhere on a distant server, those moments might still exist as data points. Tiny fragments of a family's private life, all recorded by a machine that was supposed to do just one thing: keep food cold. When people buy a smart refrigerator, they usually think about convenience. Recipe suggestions, automatic grocery lists, maybe a touchscreen that plays music while they cook. But in 2026, cybersecurity researchers started warning about something else entirely, because inside many modern smart appliances are components that most homeowners never even realize exist. Microphones, location sensors, network monitoring software, features that aren't always visible on the screen, features that manufacturers rarely talk about in advertisements, features that sometimes behave in ways no one expected. That's exactly what happened to Eric Lawson, a network technician living in Denver, Colorado. Eric had recently upgraded his kitchen with a brand new smart refrigerator. The appliance was one of the newest models available, a huge stainless steel unit with a touchscreen the size of a tablet built into the door. The system could track groceries, display calendars, even sync with other smart devices around the house. Eric thought it was impressive, but because of his background in networking, he also did something most people never do. He checked the refrigerator's system settings. Deep inside the device's menu, Eric found a section labeled Advanced Diagnostics. Curious, he opened it. Most of the options looked normal. Temperature logs, energy consumption, software updates. But one entry caught his attention. It was labeled simply Ambient Data Collection. Eric tapped Italiano. The screen displayed a list of system components: microphone array, location, synchronization, environmental sensors. At first, he assumed these features were used for voice commands, but something about the settings didn't seem right, because several of them were active. Even though Eric had never enabled voice control, that night, he decided to run a small test. Eric opened a network monitoring program on his laptop. Then he connected the refrigerator to his home Wi-Fi. Within seconds, the device began transmitting data. That part wasn't unusual. Most smart appliances send diagnostic information, but the amount of data surprised him. The refrigerator was sending small packets every few seconds, almost constantly. Curious, Eric traced the outgoing connections. Some went to the manufacturer's servers, but others were routed through third-party data services. That was strange. Why would a refrigerator need to connect to multiple external servers? Eric decided to dig deeper. He placed the laptop on the kitchen counter and left the monitoring program running overnight. The next morning, he reviewed the network activity. The data logs showed something unexpected. At 2:14 a.m., the refrigerator had activated one of its sensors. Not the internal camera, not the touchscreen. A microphone The appliance had recorded a short audio clip, only 6 seconds long. Eric opened the file. The recording contained nothing unusual, just the quiet hum of the kitchen. But the existence of the file raised an uncomfortable question. Why was the refrigerator recording audio in the middle of the night? Eric searched the system menu again. Eventually, he found another hidden setting. It was quiet. Voice pattern analysis. I never thought I'd be making this video. I mean, who suspects their refrigerator? It's supposed to keep your milk cold, not spy on you. But here we are. It all started about a month ago. Little things, you know. Things you'd dismiss at first. I'd be talking to a friend on the phone about needing to buy more orange juice. And the next thing I know, my social media feed is flooded with ads for every brand of orange juice imaginable. Coincidence, right? My phone's listening. That's what everyone says. So I brushed it off. Then, I was planning a surprise birthday party for my girlfriend. We were whispering about it in the living room, far from my phone, which was charging in the bedroom. I was talking about the specific type of cake. She loves a red velvet cheesecake from this little bakery downtown. The next morning, I open my laptop, and what's the first ad I see? A discount coupon for that exact red velvet cheesecake from that exact bakery. Okay, now, that was weird. My laptop was off. My phone was in another room. What else was in the vicinity? The fridge. My brand new, top-of-the-line, smart refrigerator. I laughed it off. It's a fridge. It has a giant touchscreen, connects to Wi-Fi, tells me the weather, and can even order groceries. It's supposed to make my life easier. Not eavesdrop on my party plans, but the seed of suspicion was planted. So, I decided to run a little experiment. I stood right in front of the fridge, alone in the kitchen, and started talking out loud. I made up a story about how I'd always dreamed of visiting Iceland to see the northern lights. I'd never searched for it, never talked about it before. I went on for a good 5 minutes, talking about Icelandic glaciers, volcanic tours, the whole 9 yards. The next day, my entire digital life was a travel brochure for Iceland. Flights to Reykjavik, hotel deals, guided tours for the Aurora Borealis. It wasn't just on my phone or laptop. Ads were popping up on the smart TV, on my tablet. It was a full-scale advertising assault, and it all pointed back to one thing. The kitchen, to my big, shiny, stainless steel Sentinel that was apparently a secret agent for an advertising network. I started digging. I went through the refrigerator as a user manual, which was about as exciting as you'd expect, buried deep in the terms and conditions. In tiny print, you'd need a microscope to read, was a clause about product improvement and personalized user experience. It mentioned using ambient audio data to optimize services and marketing. Ambient audio data. They were recording me. My refrigerator was recording everything I said in my own kitchen. I felt this weird mix of violation and, honestly, it was kind of absurd. My fridge was a snitch. Every time I'd complained about running out of eggs, every time I'd debated what to make for dinner, every private conversation that happened within earshot of the ice dispenser, it was all being collected, analyzed, and used to sell me stuff. So, I got technical. I'm no cybersecurity expert, but I know my way around a home network. I set up a network monitoring tool to see exactly what data the fridge was sending out. And folks, the amount of data was staggering. It was constantly uploading packets to a dozen different servers, some of which I traced back to well-known data brokerage firms. It wasn't just listening for keywords like milk or cheese. It was recording and uploading chunks of audio. My conversations. My life. The weirdest part was when I checked the data logs. I saw a huge data spike at 2 a.m. a few nights prior. I couldn't figure it out. I was asleep. Then I remembered I'd woken up thirsty and stumbled into the kitchen for a glass of water. While I was there, I was sleepily humming a song that had been stuck in my head. The next day, that exact song was at the top of my recommended For You playlist on my music streaming service. My fridge had even ratted out my midnight humming. This is bigger than just getting annoying ads. This is about privacy in our own homes. We embedded TC smart devices in to make our lives more convenient. But we don't know what we're trading away. We're paying for the privilege of being surveilled 24/7. Your toaster, your coffee maker, Your light bulb ziff. It's connected to the internet. You have to ask yourself, what is it really doing? I disconnected the fridge from the Wi-Fi. It's a dumb fridge now. The giant screen is just a fancy clock. And you know what? The targeted ads have dropped significantly. My digital life is quieter. It feels like I've evicted a spy from my house. But it also feels like I've lost a battle. I shouldn't have to choose between a smart home and a private one. The reason I'm sharing this is to be a wake-up call. Read the terms of service. Be aware of what permissions you're giving these devices. Go into your device settings and turn off any microphones or data collection features you're not comfortable with. It might be a pain, but your privacy is worth it. We need to demand more transparency and control from these companies. My fridge is still in the kitchen. It keeps my food cold. And that's all it does now. It's a constant reminder that in today's world, you have to be vigilant. You have to question everything, even the appliances you trust to just do their job. So next time you're in your kitchen, who's to remember the walls don't have ears, but your refrigerator might. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more dives into the weird world of modern technology. See you next time.